and I make my squishy, my damage dealers kind of tanky too, so it's a good balance of so it's kind of balanced. And let's see what else. I mean, what was the question again?
What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again with the next episode of Educate and Dominate, the one-on-one interview series where we take some of the top names of the game and get their insights so we can bring your game to the next level. My next guest is a person that needs no introduction. He's been on the Educate Dominate series before. He's coming back. We have ourselves the former Legend Rank player on the Arena side and a top contender on the RTA side, Mr. Foy of the Epic Fail Alpha community. What is going on, my man?
What's up? What's up?
Not too much, sir. Just glad to have you here. Man, it's been quite the ride here. What are we going on now? About 3 to 4 months of the real-time arena. And what do you think, my man? How you been enjoying it?
Oh, it's been really fun, especially after a lot of other players started getting into it. Because before, not many people was really into it because there was no rewards or whatever. But now that it's live, it's a lot more fun.
Yes, most definitely. I couldn't agree more. If you guys are familiar, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. With regards to the Educate and Dominate series, we started off with a lot of arena talk and guild war talk, and then as of this year, we really dived into that RTA strategy, leading off the year with Syntac, and now getting ready to get Foy's opinion, who, again, as you guys already know, is a top contender on the RTA side. Some of the things that we're going to talk to you today is obviously what you see in front of you, the RTA tier list that he has recently created for the Summoners War community, as well as talking about different strategies that he uses, as well as what his opponents see, some unit and room requirements for endgame RTA, as well as some of the Q&A, some questions that we have gotten from our subscribers, his and my viewers alike. So without further ado, let's get cracking here. The RTA tier list. This is something that I truly enjoy for anybody that makes it, because there's always a lot of clashing, a lot of talking and debate and what's kind of going on here. When it comes to RTA list, the number one question is from the viewers is, how do you go about rating these units? Because this is something that you spend a lot of time in doing. So what's your take on this? How do you break this down?
Yeah, this was actually really hard for me to do at first because I thought that it's impossible to make a tier list because it's all situational. But the system that I use is that the triple S is units that has really little to no counter, or it has no hard counters. And then the double S are units that are just really powerful units that are just amazing units with really amazing kits that has really amazing base stats and are just extremely strong. And then the S tier units are units that are really strong too, but they do have heavy counters to them.
Gotcha.
Or double S doesn't have too many heavy counters. They can be used in a lot of scenarios. The triple S units, they could be used in almost any scenario, and that's kind of how I categorize them. Yeah.
Gotcha. And in addition to having a lot of endgame players out there, we're going to have a lot of early to mid game players. But so can you kind of go ahead and explain just your basic definition of the heavy counter versus like a hard counter, so to speak, so they kind of understand where your thought process go when you're explaining your strategy later on?
Okay, so let's say units like that's in the S rank. Every unit that's in the S rank, they all have the capability to be triple S in the right situations. Like, but yeah, they all have hard counters. Like, for example, if let's say you first pick a Chow, he can be heavy countered by Wind Panda or by Sierra, Monkey King, the Wind Monkey King. There's heavy counters to that. Tableau, there is no counter to Tableau really.
Gotcha.
No heavy counter.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Cool. And so when looking at this particular tier list here, there's going to be a lot of controversial units that people are going to look at and be like, "Nah, bro, that's not too accurate." But everyone got their one units that they kind of look at. Or what are some of the units that you feel kind of tie in that mix, or maybe what are some of the units that your community has kind of responded back to you since you put out the RTA list as far as some of the controversial units and why you rank them as high or as low as you put them?
Yeah, one of the big ones is, of course, Chilling. He is. I talked about this in one of my other videos, but Chilling, he is crazy. He buff strips. He's one of the most reliable buff strippers. He has, I call it, it's kind of like a hidden. I mean, it's really unseen. The really amazing things that he does that people are not really aware of, which is the speed buff on your team, and it's the slow on them, and it gives you a huge turn advantage. And yeah, that's one of the things that are just crazy. Once you add up all the turns and the numbers in the end, you just have so much more advantage. And then there's the damage that he provides also, just because of his skill is based on his attack speed. So you could build him a complete tank, and he'll still do more damage than so many other units.
And the fact that now I believe it's the amount of DPS scales along with the beneficial effects, and I think that's been prior too, but that's something to heavily consider with people out there bringing so many compositions that are providing different immunity factors or will factors for that first turn death prevention or damage prevention. So being able to steal that stuff is pretty darn strong. Most definitely. Let's see here. Another one here that I originally looked at here when I was looking at the list, especially for your double S rank, was Faye. Did you get a lot of criticism from Faye, and how'd you go about that on that decision?
Oh yeah. Everybody just thought that was ridiculous, just ridiculous to have Faye high up there. But that's because everybody thinks of Faye as the normal Faye build. But what I'm thinking of is a Faye that has Chow runes, or has Rakan runes, or just a really tanky bruiser Faye that has 30k HP, 1k defense. That's extremely tanky. So whenever she moves, she has a chance to ignore defense. Five chances to ignore defense. And being HP, crit damage HP, you're still gonna with really good runes, you're still going to crit for 15 to 20k. So if you ignore defense, so that right there, you have a chance to win the game whenever you move. Whenever that skill's up, and then after that skill's on cooldown, she's going to get targeted because everybody kind of assumes that she's going to be squishy, or she's just a huge threat because of the defense break, the buff strip. She has a 2-turn cooldown buff strip. That's crazy. And she has a 25% revenge proc whenever she gets attacked. So if they attack her, she could revenge and proc into the buff strip. Defense break in first, and then doing the second skill. That's just an insane amount of damage that you're going to take if it procs. Yep. And her being tanky, it's going to take a lot of time to kill her.
Yep, and a couple of things I mentioned here, just to kind of finish off with that. The speed lead is obviously going to be critical, especially depending on the team that you're going to bring. But I think the biggest thing here that we're going to listen from you guys, for the people that are watching on YouTube, is when we are analyze these units, we're quickly to judge people's guesses on it based on what we currently see or what we're currently used to, right? You made a valid point. This unit is built in a very, very tanky meta, but I will tell you right now, some of the top players out there building these unique compositions are building these in a variety of ways that not even all of us know about until it's too late, right? So definitely come at this with an open mind, especially if you are one of those players that are kind of mid-range to late game and are looking to really climb up there, because at the end of the day, the creativity, the innovativeness of how you form your teams and come at your opponent is why Fwa is one of the best contenders out there in RTA right now. So again, it kind of just goes to show, you know, your style and how your thought process goes, Tom. And I'm really excited to see what kind of things you bring with these next couple of RTA matches and tournaments and whatnot. So big shout out to you, man. So far, what's another unit out there that you feel kind of ties into that list of controversial like topics that people have been addressing?
Yeah, there's another unit, the light cobalt bomber, that people kind of overlooked in a way, or not overlooked, but they just don't see the crazy potential that it has if you build it a certain way. Like, because most people build it fatal, attack, or speed, attack, or whatever. But how I would build it for RTA would be on violent, like speed, HP, attack, or even attack, HP if you have the good enough speed subs. But you make them violent, and it just becomes an insane unit. Like, let's say you plant a bomb, you're going to get a 50% attack bar increase, and then you stun them, or let's say you stun them first, and then you violent proc, and then you plant a bomb on them. That's a 2-turn denial right there.
Yep, that's huge.
Yeah, and then you violent proc again, more violent procs. It's you're gonna get a lot of CCs off of him if he's on violence.
Yeah. Very unique unit. Of course, not everybody has that particular unit, but at the end of the day, you know, just kind of looking at the overall kits of these units that we're going to be discussing about, you know, down the road, it's without a doubt that's one of the, you know, top CCs out there that people don't, you know, necessarily talk about, but that can definitely play a role here. So when it comes to the strategy aspect, there's a lot of teams that people have mentioned over and over and over again. So for the newer players out there in the community that are watching this video for you, what are some of the typical strategies that you kind of come to know, and how would you break it down? Like what's the name of it, and what's the kind of strategy involved in it? What's it basically consist of?
Okay, so one of the first ones is just a heavy control team. So it's typically running it with a speed leader, and again, the first turn. Buff strippers is one of the main things one of the big things that you need for these kind of teams, because you need to strip the buffs, and then you CC afterwards, or CC crowd control, and yeah, it's typically followed up by like Okeanos, Verad, Wind Fairy King, a bunch of other turn denial units. Yeah, the mid-range teams, it's typically like Wusa. I mean, it's got a lot of immunity. It's got cleanse. It's got crowd control. It's got enough damage. It's got defense break. It's a little bit of everything all into one, and which is well runed, well synergized, and normally they kill one by one. That's typically how it works, unless it's like a unit like Faye or whatever that maybe gets lucky. But yeah, it's typically how it goes. They normally run with buff strippers too. Buff strippers is extremely important in all of your teams. You typically want to bring buff stripper in everything that you go, unless the player that you're playing against has no buff strippers. I mean, has no immunity or no buffs, or lack units. But yeah.
Gotcha. And any other compositions that you wanted to mention?
Let's see. Oh yeah, the YOLO teams with, let's say they're running Faye, Water Garuda, and the Light Garuda, or Faye, Bastat, Lucian, Sierra Leader, maybe if in case Faye gets banned. Yeah, there's even the semi-YOLO defense damage dealers. So like Immensity, Copper, Bulldozer, or Olivia. There's units like that too, where
Gotcha.
I think that's it.
I can see that head churning here, so I'm not sure. It's like, has he got any more in there? All right. But yeah, there's quite a few teams there, and some common and uncommon teams that people have seen kind of climb up in the ranks here. When it comes to Probably one of the more common teams that you may think you see or you see in the top ranks. What out of these like three main teams, what do you see the majority of? Do you see like a common trend of people using? I mean, everybody has their own style, but what do you see more often than not?
Let's see. I think most of the top players, they run the mid-range. I mean, there's some players that runs the heavy CC 1 to 2 turn kind of kill, and yeah, typically for that you need some insane swift runes, and you can only really pull that off against with really insane.
So one of the big topics that gets talked about time and time and again is that concept of the pre-game strategy, right? The pick and ban process. Who do you pick, and ultimately who do you ban to give yourself a strong edge versus their opponent, right? As you guys know, 5 different units, and they're all built with a synergistic effect. But if you pick the right opponent, if you pick the right unit to ban, you can really cripple them. Now, my question to you is, at the end game of the RTA, right? You are similar to the arena. You're seeing a lot of the similar people, time and time and again. So, with regards to your particular strategy, do you go in there with that thought process of, I'm just going to go ahead and try to pick my team, and then I'll kind of make the adjustments on the fly when it comes to the banning stage? Or are you considering picking a team that's going to best suit what you see your opponent commonly do, like a basic hard counter?
Yeah, most of the time, if I know the team that my opponent's going to use, if I know the team he's going to use, I'm going to kind of have a game plan pre-ready for certain specific players, and sometimes I just kind of go on the fly, just pick whatever he's picking, whatever, because maybe they might have the same units that I have, and then I'll have to completely strategize right there and then, come up with something new. And there's some players that are just really difficult to counter pick, because some players just have no hard counter. But
gotcha. And so with regards to the current end game, you see a lot of teams, you see a lot of strategies come and evolve, and ultimately you have to build certain units to essentially be that hard counter for what your opponents generally bring to the mixer. So what are some of the units that you've built that have been kind of hard counters for you when it comes to strategies that they use?
Oh man, one of my favorites is my Full Revenge Vertihill. He's amazing against Lucian, against Zeros, because there's some players that actually run YOLO Zeros teams. So he's got a 45% chance to revenge, and that's huge. So it counters, I mean, it semi-counters Iris, unless you get stunned by Iris. But yeah, it counters Gemini, Iris, Lucian, Zeros. It counters a lot of YOLO cleave teams.
Yeah.
So
any type of AoE kind of composition, they have that chance of hitting Vertihill, and then ultimately giving him a chance to proc that counter if he doesn't get stunned.
Yeah, he's a really good counter pick. Yep.
Gotcha. So, and then with regards to RTA and whatnot, one of the things that we're going to be talking about down the road is the quality of the units and runes when it comes to endgame RTA. In your opinion, what are some of the big unit and rune requirements that you are commonly seeing, or you feel that are basically necessary? What is the staple as far as your stats that you think to get up into that rank there as far as units and runes go?
And I mean, I could just tell you that in the top 10 or top 5 in the world, in my opinion, I think a player would need at least 2 Swift runes that if they put on the Bernard, it's going to make their Bernard 310 speed. So that, in my opinion, is almost required to be. I mean, unless you have a lot of the triple S or double S units that's on my list, then you might get away with it. But yeah, mainly those are the requirements, in my opinion, to be top 5. It's the really insane Swift runes and having a lot of the triple S and double S units that's on my list.
Gotcha. And I like how you bring up the concept of Swiss runes and Swift runes being consistently. One of the things to get brought up quite a bit is that style of play, right? Do you go for the RNG approach or do you go for the consistency approach? You've seen a lot of different people come up with various strategies and whatnot. What is your take on the whole RNG versus consistency? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, my thoughts are, I think each individual person, I mean, I don't feel like one is better than the other way of like wanting to play. Like there's some players that want to play on RNG, and maybe because they don't have the option of getting that first turn, so their only other real option is to rely on RNG and resistance and all that. But no, I think it's more of a preference of the player if they really want to play on RNG or consistency. I prefer consistency. Like I used to enjoy RNG, like using the Fire Lich or using even the Dark Lich. I tried the Dark Lich, but he's just way too RNG of his second skill. You just never know who he's going to hit, and so I kind of got away from the RNG and try to, yeah, really be consistent.
Gotcha. So consistency, in your opinion, is one of the stronger points, but obviously with regards to RNG, it's something that we cannot undervalue. It's still a really strong concept of the game.
RNG, yeah, RNG is way too big sometimes of a factor in a lot of the matches. I wish it wasn't, but it is, especially the Vine procs and just mainly the Vine procs with the RNG. But
gotcha, cool. Some of the questions that I have from the community here that they wanted to go ahead and bring to your attention is the concept of leader skills. Leader skills kind of hit up here. So as you guys know, when it comes to your strategy, your team selection and whatnot, generally people like to pick a team that synergizes well, but has a fail-safe device of at least 2 leader skills, right? So if somebody were to ban one particular unit, you can provide that leader skill. In your humble opinion, is that leader skill an extreme priority, or is it kind of secondary to the roles that the units play in your composition?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't even think about the leader skills, except unless sometimes I'm trying to outspeed my opponent. Mainly, I'm thinking more about roles and the units itself. And then if I have a leader skill, that's just a plus, that's just a bonus. But mainly, I really focus on the units and the roles.
Gotcha. So with that in mind, what are your top leader skills? You said speed. I'm guessing resistance fall into that mix. Or what are the top RTA leader skills out there?
Resistance is nice. HP is probably the most common, but 44% anything is nice.
Gotcha.
I don't really have a preference.
And another question to kind of go on the stem of like the end game approach here. When we think about originally with regards to end game arena, right? We have all these different strategies, different things that we consider, the concept of utilizing will on defense and so on and so forth. But ultimately, when you move up into that G3 rank, you see some of the compositions on defense move away from the will runes and start bringing out that, single nemesis, double nemesis, high resistance kind of approach. Do you see any kind of trend veering over to endgame RTA? Do you see people still, smacking the wheel with all their units out there, or do they have? Do you see a lot of people really, really focused on getting that max resistance or playing around with that nemesis aspect? Do you see any of that going on in RTA?
I play around with max resistance, especially my Nagong, but I'm not exactly sure how other players are really building their units.
Gotcha. Have you seen anybody try to use Nemesis as a hard counter for a particular composition that you bring to the mix?
I have not, but I mean, I heard of some players using double Nemesis and then will units like Gianna. I heard that Ace from the Asia server was built a Gianna specifically to hard counter those kind of YOLO teams, and I think that can work really good.
Cool. All right. Let's see here. So The next question we have is talking about the units and runes, and this they basically say, what kind of role did it play in in-game RTA? So, like, when I think about this question here, the question kind of came to me a little under structure, but I kind of got the idea of what he's saying. When we think about the arena, right, and we think about the argument that we've made time and time and again, it's the quality of the runes. The runes make the units, not the units make the runes. That is extremely strong when it comes to arena. But it seems like on the RTA side, there's a lot more value or emphasis put on the combination of the high quality units and the high quality runes. While you can have amazing runes, the value of having a particular high key units that can bring 2 to 3 rolls that you're looking for in one go in one unit is extremely strong, and it gives you a very, very strong edge in RTA. Do you agree with that assessment, or what's your debate on that?
Yeah, I kind of disagree with the arena too, but besides that point, it's your runes will only bring you to a certain level, but once you get into that level, in order to get any higher, you really have to have the units also, and yeah, that's just how it is. That's how the game is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, your runes can only take you so far. Also, gotcha. Your units can only take you so far, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, kind of going on to the second question, or second part of this, anyways. A lot of people probably come up to you and say, "Hey, can you tell me all the free to play units or obtainable units that people can use to kind of climb in the RTA?" Can you really give them a list, or does it really come down to the whole units versus runes kind of concept that we're just talking about?
Man, honestly, RTA is really a unit kind of game, and sure, you could come up with a non-nat 5 kind of team and still do well if you have the insane kind of runes, like for example, the Konamiya and Lucian, if you have the insane Swift runes, or like Copper, Immensity, Bulldozer, there's units like that. But ultimately, once you get to the far end, it's all about the units combined with your rune quality. Mm-hmm. But free-to-play units and climbing up, you could really play with almost any units if you have some decent runes and make it fun. Yeah.
Yeah, they just tie too well together. It's so hard to say one or the other there. So I agree with there. Speaking about units, one of the things that I love to ask all my guests on the Educate Dominate series is the underrated and overlooked unit. We always have a unit out there with regards to whatever category it is: Arena, Guild Wars, and now RTA. Out of all these units that you put in the RTA list, regardless of the rank, what do you feel is the most underrated and overlooked unit, and why?
Oh man, it's gotta be Chilling. My opinion, it's gotta be Chilling. Okay. He's probably the most underlooked unit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for the reasons I explained earlier.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one there. I kind of felt I had Chilling in my thought process there, but I get as far as my particular building them or whatnot, but I threw it on the curb when I pulled the Iris a while ago. Once I got Iris, I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to get into RTA, man. This is great. This is gonna be fun. But yeah, Chilling.
I think honestly, if I had a choice between Chilling and Iris, I think I might actually go for Iris over Chilling.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would too. That's why I didn't even think about Chilling until but once I got Iris, okay, bye Chilling. It's whatever. Iris is too OP, right? Iris is too OP. But yeah, kind of get back to the topic here when it comes to real-time arena and all the things that this has provided. As you guys know, 3.4.0 recently got released to us, giving us the opportunity to incorporate the spectate mode in that aspect of real-time arena. So this is great for the concepts of tournaments and providing that production value for the influencers out there in the community that really want to bring something to their audience. With regards to tournaments, people are starting to do tournaments. We got YDCBs doing some tournaments. We got some EU tournaments on the side here. What are some of your ideas? What are some of the things that you'd like to see in the RTA tournament, aura kind of?
Dude, I would love to see a server versus server RTA, because one thing that a lot of people don't know is that you could queue up and fight against players from other servers using the goodwill battles. If you queue up in that goodwill battle at the same time as somebody from Asia server or like different servers, you will get matched up. Like I'm on global, and then one of my friends in Asia server queues up at the same time, and we both match up against each other, and it's a non-rated match, so we could just battle as many times as we want, and it doesn't take any swords, or it doesn't take any. There's no limit to how many times you can do that. So having like a cross-server tournament, or even guild versus guild tournament. So like best out of 3, and if yeah, there's things like that.
Yep. Yeah, right on. I know that myself and Nightly Gaming have been talking for quite some time with the introduction of RTA. As some of you guys know that are watching this video, I visited Nightly Gaming last November to talk about a lot of different things coming up here when RTA was released, and so that was one of the things that we got really excited about. Guild versus guild, RTA tournaments, bringing the top 10 players of one guild versus the top 10 together, and kind of going on a best out of those 10 players matches, and see how it kind of ties in. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Any other ideas that you want to throw out there?
Not really. Just just guild. I mean, just server versus server, because nobody's done that yet.
Gotcha. And with regards to how RTA right now is currently set up, right? There's a lot of things that you would like to see added on, but with regards to the way it's set up right now, if there was one thing that you could change, what would it be and why?
Well, there's things that I wouldn't mind getting added, like for example, tournaments. I mean, I'm sure they might add this in the future, whatever. But it's tournaments where you can queue up into like a bracketed tournament and things like that, and where
like Come To Us hosts like their own tournament where you just basically sign up and be a part of it so that you can.
Oh no, not even. I'm talking about in the game.
Yeah.
So let's say the tournament doesn't start until 8 people somehow queues up, and then they get put into each bracket or whatever, and then they have to battle and go into middle and stuff like that. That's built in the game, but not hosted or not any of that. It's
like
built into the game.
What they call like sit and go tournaments where you just That's what I was saying. Like the in-game like sit and go tournaments. Really unique kind of style of tournament. I know that I'm a former poker player. That's what I love to do on the side, making a couple of bucks on the side. You know what I'm saying? I love those kind of tournaments, and they were extremely fun when it comes to those. So, but yeah, that would be really unique to check out there. Come to us if you are listening. You better get some of those SNGs rolling there, and provide some incentive, right? It doesn't have to be a crazy reward, but if you can provide a little bit of value where you can have some crystals for the top 3 players in this SNG tournaments. In addition to that, if you provide wealthy, rewards, maybe having some kind of a timer so that people, if the rewards are too strong, not having it so where you can, they can literally farm it, all day long, whatever, but they can add it, they can do it similar to like the wings aspect of RTA. We have a limited amount of wings that we can use every day, but if they want to get involved in tournaments, maybe they can do 3 tournaments in a day or something like that, similar to like the World Boss. Who knows? Just throwing ideas out there. But another way of giving back to the community, providing incentive for them to go ahead and jump in these tournaments and get some free rewards. Without a doubt, that'd be kind of cool. So, but yeah,
I wonder how it would be to have somehow if they made 2 versus 2. Like let's say two players one player bring in maybe 3 units, and another player bring in 3 units and battle against. So 6 versus 6. That'd be way too much, huh? Or like 2 versus 2. I mean 4 versus 4. How would that work? That'd be crazy. Or one player bring 3 3 monsters, and the other player bring 2 monsters, so 5 versus 5. That'd be interesting to see somehow 2 versus 2 one day instead of 1 versus 1.
Yeah. That would be interesting to see. On the thought process of the different ideas and whatnot, let's talk about let's bring it back to one of the things that Compton was talking about a long time ago, and even what we talked about a little earlier here. We were talking about the concept of units and runes, and how the higher you climb up, the more requirement it needs to be, right? What if we take away that concept of units and give people a level playing field, similar to what they were talking about with regards to the 3-star and below RTA? That was something that they were looking at for quite some time, but they have kind of pushed that to the side to bring in some other things, which, I'm okay. I like what you brought, don't get me wrong. But considering the concept of doing like 3-star and below, that would definitely allow people to focus more so on the rune aspect versus the units. The units are going to come a little bit more common to the opponents, so that's going to create a couple of different strategies for people to go ahead and get out there. What is your take on the 3-star below? Should they consider incorporating it, or do you feel like things would be still too skewed?
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
There it is.
Dude.
You're like, hell yeah.
Because in the RTA now, in the World Arena now, there's just some units are just impossible to acquire by some players, and like a bunch of the Line Dark Nat 5s, but everybody having the same units, having access to the same units, that would be so amazing to see.
Yeah, everybody can use their Raccoonis. Everybody can start building those Dark Penguins for the AoE defense break for that YOLO status. See, maybe see some light proms there, some light some Grim Reapers for that CC action. Who knows? There'd be some nasty stuff there. But
I think that'd be so much more entertaining to see than all these freaking F5.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons why I started the Benchmark Battle series, just getting everybody away from their 6-star monsters and just bringing out some of those monsters in their monster storage, but keeping them at 5-star max so they have a legitimate chance if they were sitting at like a mid-range level, they didn't have like a grip of 6-star monsters or whatnot. So yeah, it's been pretty fun. And of course, I guess like we were saying before, the sky's the limit. So many things that they can incorporate, but we cannot argue without a doubt that they have really put in a lot of great effort out there. So on behalf of myself and Fwa, to come to us out there, congratulations on all your success with regards to RTA. We're really looking forward to seeing what kind of other steps you kind of bring to make this grow even bigger and better. So with regards to everything that we talked about, Fwa, is there anything else you wanted to add? Any kind of last minute tips out there for your viewers, your fans, whatnot? What do you think?
Just, no tips or anything, but just please nerf the Light soon. please nerf the Light soon, and that's pretty much.
Okay, so that's for come to us. What about your fans? Any last words you want to give out to your fans? Any shout outs?
Yeah. Oh, I just want to say thank you to all of the fans. All the people that watch me every day or that watch my stream, people that come to my YouTube channel. Yeah, huge thank you, much appreciated.
Most definitely, sir. And the last thing I'd love to add in there is the call-outs. We've had a lot of people, come at, join the Educate Dominate family as far as providing great insight to you. If there was somebody that you would recommend, whether it's for RTA, Guild Wars, Arena, or just overall game knowledge that you feel that the community can benefit from, who would that be and why?
Man, I would love to see Scat Fetus. Once Scat has done enough, once he's done more and more RTA to where he has a point of view on it, or once he has a opinion on it, I would love to hear his perspectives, because his brain works, in a unique way. So
yep.
I would love to see that.
Similar to you, there's nothing that excites me more to wake up in the morning and check out Reddit when he was posting on Reddit and see a new, basically literally a column of knowledge when it comes to endgame arena, and just providing his thought process based on what he currently sees time and time again. So big shout out to you, Scott Fetus, for all your success in that, and I hope you do decide to get really heavily into RTA, and if so, I definitely extend the invitation out to you to come on board and we can do it once again for old time's sake. But yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. Once again, thank you so much, Fwa, for coming on board and doing this RTA video for you. I really do appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no problem. It's been fun like always.
Yeah, buddy. So again, guys, if you're not familiar with Fwa, you better ask somebody. Okay, I'm going to provide the links for you right over here, his YouTube and Twitch links. Please go ahead and do me the honor of go ahead and subscribing to him, following him. Check both of those links out so you can go ahead and support his channel as he provides a ton of great knowledge and insight for both the YouTube as well as the Twitch side. So again, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of Educate and Dominate. It's your boy Childish and Fwa with ChildishPlays checking out. Take care, and we will see you next time, guys. We're out.